So, you know, Herc's style of playing music, his style of DJing, he did not cut records. He was not, you know, he didn't do what Grandmaster Flash did. He just played, he would place the needle on the record and let the record play. And sometimes the record would play from the beginning to the end where you even hear white noise. That wasn't a frequent occurrence, but it did happen occasionally. And then, but, you know, just to give you the distinguishing difference between what Grandmaster Flash did and what Kool Herc did, you know, Kool Herc, he didn't touch his records. He didn't put his hands on the records. He didn't rub the beat. That was Grandmaster Flash who implemented that technique. And for those of you who are listening, who have been fed the revisionists version of the inception of hip hop, and you know, and the revisionists crew or clique who weren't even present is giving Grand Wizard Theodore credit for inventing scratch. That's not the truth. Okay. With all due respect to Grand Wizard Theodore, because he is an absolute technician on the wheels of steel, but he did not create scratching. And the reason why I say that is because Grandmaster Flash's technique, Grandmaster Flash and Grand Wizard Theodore, they were both down with the same crew. But at the time, there was a time when Grand Wizard Theodore was not allowed to touch the equipment because the equipment was owned by his older brother, Mean Gene. So Mean Gene wouldn't allow Theodore to touch the equipment. And Flash would be at the house practicing because Flash lived with them. And then whenever Flash would be done practicing, Theodore wasn't even tall enough to reach the turntable. So Flash would sit a crate of records there in front of the turntable so Theodore could reach the turntables so he could practice while Mean Gene wasn't around, because if Mean Gene was around, he wouldn't let Theodore touch the turntables. So here we go. So Flash is credited for being the person to make up the backspin. All right. So now, anyone who is a DJ knows this to be true. When you are queuing up the record, all right, before you let the record go, you know, to play it so that it's audible to the audience, you first have to rub the record. You have to rub it back and forth to know that you're at the cue point that you want to let that record go at. So when you rub the record, all right, that's what scratching is. You're rubbing the record back and forth. So Flash had these speakers, and when he was rubbing the record back and forth, Theodore was right there, privy to the sound that it made. And the difference between Theodore and Flash is that Theodore actually expounded on making scratching his technique. Flash was more focused on making the backspin his technique. But Theodore got the idea from Flash, period.
And that's interesting to know, too, because you know, we had a hip-hop roundtable, Curtis Blow, a bunch of different people, and Theodore was on there. And I'm glad you said that, because I didn't get the chance to even ask him, like, hey, did you learn from Flash, or you know, where did you get the idea from? And you cleared that up, so I appreciate that. But so he was a younger cat that was coming around watching you guys, and he was influenced by Flash pretty much. Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, the funny thing is that you know, because the revisionists rendition of hip-hop history has been, perpetuated for so long, it's almost like it's the truth now. So, there's probably going to be a contingency of people who, like, lose their minds and be like, yo, he doesn't know what he's talking about, or he's lying, or whatever, making reference to me. But I keeps it extra crispy. So when it comes to the history of this hip hop culture, like, hip-hop is my life. You know what I mean? So when I see and hear people embellishing and saying, that they were present when they actually weren't, or, that they are responsible for doing things that they actually didn't, and I know it to be true, I have to say it, and I don't care who it is. It's not personal, but that's just the way I feel about the history of the culture that I help to make a contribution to. And I think that, if everyone was if everyone held integrity as important as I did with regards to the history of our culture, we wouldn't be having this problem.